Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Kevin Finkler, your ASUN Director of Elections. Tonight's debate will consist of the College of Education and the College of Science. Before we begin, I would like to go over some rules. As with everything this past year, we are conducting these debates via Zoom virtually. So please feel free from typing anything into the chat box unless it's a candidate question, as to prevent any distractions to the candidates. That being said, we are utilizing a Q&A function this year, so please feel free to use the Q&A function below to ask any questions to the candidates for later periods. We will now move into the rules of tonight's debate for the College of Education. Tonight's debate will be between the senator candidates for the College of Education. Candidates are seated in alphabetical order by last name and will be given 1 minute and 30 seconds to introduce themselves and state their platform. Candidates will be given 1 minute and 30-second warnings on their time. If a candidate goes over the allotted time, they'll be warned, and then they will have their mics muted to ensure that we have an efficient and fair debate. The first portion of tonight's debate will consist of candidate-focused questions formulated based on their listed bio and goals on each website. Again, each candidate will have 1 minute and 30-second responses to their questions. The next portion of tonight's debate will be consisted of general ASUN questions about ASUN, the duties as potential senators, and any other questions of the general nature. A similar format and time will be used for this section as well. The last portion of tonight's debate will consist of student questions submitted tonight during this debate and or via social media during the day through our promotions. Again, a similar format and timing structure will be used for this debate or this section as well. Finally, to end tonight's debate, we will hear from the candidates' closing statements that will once be limited to 1 minute and 30-second responses. After the conclusion of the debate, we will thank the candidates and the audience for their cooperation tonight and give ASUN Democracy a virtual round of applause. Candidate Keller, do you have any questions at this time?
No, I do not.
All right, we will move into our first section of tonight, which will be a candidate-centered question. Okay, again, you have a minute and 30-second response on this. Give me 1 second as I pull up my timer. And we are ready to go. Candidate Keller, how do you plan on improving awareness for programs within your college as you state in one of your goals? What programs would you like to promote, for example?
So my own experience in college kind of inspired this goal. I went into college knowing I wanted to be a teacher, but I was only majoring in English. It wasn't towards the end of the first semester until an advisor actually gave me options in pursuing education. So I think that having that information at orientation or Nevada-bound events for any student would be beneficial. Doesn't mean we have to push it on students because it is obviously their choice. But specific programs like PAC Teach and Nevada Teach, they're so great. Our advisors are amazing. So any student who is majoring in HTFS or even minoring in education, they will be helped. And hopefully the more we promote these programs like PAC Teach for the college, we can get more qualified full-time or substitute teachers in the state of Nevada, something everybody can, I think, can agree that we currently lack.
Thank you for that answer. Okay, we will move into our next portion of the debate, which will be general ASUN questions. Okay, there will be a few, so please take your time. And again, a minute and 30-second response time for these. The big question of tonight, why do you want to become a senator?
I want to become a senator. I guess the easy answer would be because I already am a senator. So to backtrack further, I was originally an intern for Senate. My mentor, Senator Davenport, was also in education, and I like to think that he kind of inspired me to be an ASUN and eventually also major in education. Former Speaker Pro Tempore Murphy was also a big influence, and I found it was the best way to get involved on campus. I was never really interested in joining a sorority or co-ed fraternity, so student government was something I always regretted not joining in high school. So in college, I thought it would be the best way to get involved.
All right, thank you for that response. The next question of the night is, What do you believe is the biggest problem your college is currently facing, and how do you plan to fix this problem as your role as a senator?
Oh, the biggest problem. The biggest problem doesn't have to be confined specifically in the college or the university, just the lack of teachers and qualified teachers in Nevada. I think right now there is a pressure for students in education programs to kind of stay in Nevada and be good qualified teachers. And yes, that's important. But I think right now we just need to take our time because we don't want to be rushing these college students into something that they might not be prepared for. We want to make sure they get the good testing. Our professors are doing their job and teaching them the material. So when they graduate college, they can be the best teachers they can be. That's the main part because, you know, it's college education. As for HDFS, which is a big pool in our college, I think that just the quality is important.
Thank you for that response. Okay, we will move into the next question. In the recent years, the university has seen a consistent uptick of hate crimes targeted at underrepresented groups on campus. How would you, as a senator, ensure that all students in these groups feel safe and comfortable walking on our campus?
Gosh, these are hard questions. I think that by upholding our commitment to what we pass in legislation and what we sign as a Senate body, it is more than passing that piece of legislation condemning anti-Semitism or signing a document supporting the Black Lives Matter purpose. And don't get me wrong, I think that passing them was a good first step, but we need to revisit them later on in our terms and not consider them as something we supported X amount of months ago. We need to check up on the progress of the legislation we passed to the people we send it to. I know some people saw us as guilty of not doing that during that term, and I would like to make the explanation that we had other issues to work on, primarily around the voting season and COVID, but the problems and issues we are condemning will carry on into the next term and for many years, unfortunately. That is something I think ASUN should greatly improve on, and I will always welcome criticism from students and constituents because we are far from a perfect association.
Thank you for that response again. Just a reminder to all those attendees tonight, I messaged in the chat just now, but please feel free to ask the candidate any questions in the Q&A function below. After this section, currently, we will move into student questions. So please have those questions ready. Feel free to ask, and they will be answered live here from the candidate. All right. Moving to the next question, and very similar topic we just talked about in terms of ASUN. In the past year, ASUN has seen a consistent opposition from students and seen groups of this campus continue to see ASUN in a negative way. In your role as senator, what would you do to better serve your college, and how do you hope to change this perception of ASUN?
This actually kind of falls in line with my third goal, I guess, for my platform. I think that the main thing that we should do for me personally, taking into account the feedback forms is important. We didn't, to my knowledge, utilize them to their potential. Maybe it was because the concerns were seen as repetitive or it expressed concerns that weren't important to some, but that is why our constituents and students do sometimes see us in a negative light. We can't take their feedback, I guess, with a grain of salt. And I know my answer to this question might seem like a fancy way of saying, oh, we just need to listen to the students. We need students to come to public comment. We need to do this or that. But for this session, we have had many opportunities to listen to the anonymous feedback forms, and we didn't. So that's why students are frustrated with us at times. We know this. I believe we know this, and I think we know how to fix it. We just need to push ourselves as a collective body to actually listen and not ignore it.
Thank you for that answer. We will move on to the last question for this portion, and it will specifically deal with your college. in your college, there are a lot of unexpected fees associated with many of the internship programs. In a year of a global pandemic and a year of financial hardship, what would you do as senator in this coming year to ensure that all students within your college have the accessibility and the able to attend their necessary internships and continue their education during a year of what we could possibly call a pandemic recession?
Okay, good question. I would say that student teaching is really hard right now. I know in one of my classes, we're not even doing field experience, but for student teaching, they need all the help that we can get because they want to help. As in COVID times, it's just really hard to give a straight answer to that. And I know there's so much opposition to student fees because like with the fitness center, with counseling center, it's just not the same. The best I would do as a senator is keep in constant contact with my dean. And if there's any fees that some students feel like should be taken away, I'm sure he would have an explanation for that. And I'm sorry, this is a very complicated question, and as the best I could answer that. I apologize if it is not satisfying.
No, thank you so much for the answer. The voters appreciate it. All right, we will now move on to the next section of tonight's debate, which will be students' questions. So far, we have 2 in the chat box. I highly recommend to the attendees, throw a couple more in there. We will try to answer as many as we can. The first question from tonight from the students: in this current session, you have expressed the difficulty in creating a student advisory board for the College of Education. How do you think that you can approach this issue into the next session? Do you think you will use a new approach, or what has worked for you so far?
So the creation of a student advisory board is outlined in our duties as senators. I was surprised to find that there wasn't a student advisory board for the college because it's so important. Senator Prias and I are currently working towards our first meeting date and time soon, which is exciting. One of my worries right now, though, is the off chance that it might dissolve. It's not going to, but there is always a chance just because it is so new, and with COVID, we weren't sure if it would be a high priority for our advisors or students. But then again, I think it's very important for students to get their opinions heard by the dean, especially now. Wanting to continue to be part of the board was a big influence on my choice to run again for Senate. So right now, there's a lot up in the air, but I'm not going anywhere, and I will continue to work on this as it is currently my biggest project and will be for next session.
Thank you for that answer. Tonight's last question, unless we have more questions from the students tonight, can you elaborate more on your 4th goal about improving off-campus safety during the winter semester?
Yes, this is one of my favorite kind of last-minute goals. The snowstorm that we got through, just so everybody knows, my last goal is, improving the safety of driving conditions. But the snowstorm that we got through during January was what inspired my 4th goal. Some of my professors and fellow students said that it hadn't been that bad since about 10 years ago. I was very scared, and seeing so many accidents just around campus didn't help. Some of my coworkers at the student union made it to work late, and they were shocked that the campus wasn't at least delayed because of the terrible conditions. Of course, our campus has a snow removal crew to make campus safe, which they do an amazing job, but the surrounding roads and streets were still quite dangerous. I know next winter we probably won't get as much snow as we did recently, but safe and defensive driving in terrible weather conditions is essential for our students and staff to get to campus. And not just snow, driving in the first rain with a combination of water, oil, and dirt on the roads makes it unsafe as well. But to do this, I would like to accomplish this goal by creating seminars or information sessions during the fall for students on how to drive safely and the steps that they can take to ensure that they're traveling safely to campus, because having something like this might prevent future accidents for students that don't have the fortune of living right next to campus.
Thank you for that question. And I think the students that asked that question, thank you as well too. Seeing no more questions from the students, we will now move into the final part of tonight's debates, which will be a 1:30 closing statement from you on anything that you didn't get to talk about tonight, anything more you want the voters to know about you, or any final words you may have.
Thank you. So, oh my gosh, I'm looking back at my notes and I don't think I did an introduction.
It is very possible. I apologize for that. Let us go ahead and do that, and then you will get, essentially, we'll give you 3 minutes. You'll have both times to talk. So tell us about you. I apologize to everyone on the stream. We were so anxious to get to the night's questions. We failed to introduce the candidates tonight. So candidate Keller, please introduce yourself, and you may have the very amount of time that you would like right now.
Okay, thank you. So you got the bulk of the sandwich. Now we're just missing the 2 bread pieces. So introduction, thank you, Director Finkler, for being the moderator. Thank you to everybody watching. I know my parents are watching. I obviously can't see you, but hopefully that will ease my nerves for the time being. My name is Sarah Keller. I'm a sophomore in the Pre-Pack Teach English program here at UNR. Once again, I'm the only one running and campaigning for the Senate seat for the College Education and Human Development. The only difference is that I'm going into it with more experience and confidence. During my term for the ADA session, I met so many amazing senators, accomplished more than I ever really expected myself to do. One of my hopes for the next term is to work with more amazing people, as we have some new faces currently running, along with some great returning senators. To be honest, I'm quite nervous about this debate, even though it kind of passed, but I think okay, I'm already answered the questions, but all right, now my closing statement. So like I said in my introduction, I am again running unopposed in a college with 2 Senate seats, so I think my chances are pretty good, but I do not want that to cause any lack in my duties as a senator. Whoever is watching this debate via YouTube or live stream who is a constituent, please hold me accountable if I'm still your senator, and also hold ASUN accountable as well. I know that campaign season is fun and exciting. We get to meet a bunch of people by outreaching to our voters, but we need to maintain that connection throughout the term. Other than that, I want to thank you for your questions. They were great questions, and for your moderation, Director Finkler. And I wish the candidates for the College of Science a great debate later tonight.
Thank you so much, candidate Keller, and I appreciate you being understanding of my mishap tonight. To those attending, again, I apologize dearly for that. I'm glad at the end we were able to recognize that and actually get to know candidate Keller. Again, the election for this debate in this college will be March 10th through the 11th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Voting begins over web campus and can be in person if you would like as well. And starting this year, if you are a member of multiple colleges alongside the College of Education, you may now vote in all colleges that affect you. So whatever college you are in, if you are enrolled in the College of Education as well, I highly recommend voting in this upcoming election. I look forward to everyone seeing everyone at the polls March 10th and 11th. And again, candidate Keller, thank you so much. We will now take a 5-minute break before our next debate for the College of Science. We will come back at 7:55. So again, little tiny break. And yeah, thank you again, candidate Keller.
Kevin,
Yes.
the button that says record is not showing pause.
Yeah, we cannot pause, unfortunately, in between. So we've been just going. But if we could bring over Hannah Bowling, Navitha Ryland, and Yesenia over to the panelist side. And then candidates, as you're being added to the main screen, please go ahead and turn your camera on. And again, we will get started here in a few minutes. So please feel free to take whatever time you need to get ready.
Okay. So it's Hannah, Yesenia, and Navitha, right?
And Rylan as well.
Oh, and Rylan. Okay.
Okay. Again, we will come back in about 3 minutes at 7:55.
And just to warn you, it's still live streaming.
Yes, so please be aware of that. This is live streaming. So yes, please be aware of that, but we will come back. Right, welcome back, candidates. Before we get started, if I could, I would like to ask the candidates if you could pronounce your last names, just so I do not mispronounce them during the debate. Let's start off with Rylan.
My last name's Howell.
Howell. Okay, gotcha. Yesenia.
Palayo.
Palayo.
Hmm.
Okay, gotcha. And then Hannah, is it Bowling? Okay,
Yep.
Gotcha. And then Navitha, how do you pronounce your last name?
It's Nithyanandan.
One more time.
Nithyanandan.
Nithyandan. I'm so sorry. I'm going to mispronounce it. Let me try it again. Nithyandandan.
Kinda. It's
Say it one more. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna make sure I get this right for you. I promise.
You're totally fine. It's Nithyanandan.
Nithyan. I always want to put an extra syllable in there. I'm so sorry. Nithyandandan. No? One extra syllable, two extra syllables? I'm so sorry.
It's if you just sound it out like with the letters, it's just Nithyanandan.
Nithyanandan.
There you go.
Nithyan. Sorry, it's just when I go faster. So sorry. Nithyanandan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. And again, if I mispronounce it during it, I am so sorry. Please do not take it personally. I just get tongue twisted very easily, and especially when I'm going and doing this live. And I know this is streaming live to YouTube right now, so this is great for me to watch back. So with that, we will go ahead and get started here. Here's we are missing candidates, so we are officially starting right now. Hello, everyone, and thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Kevin Finkler, your ASUN Director of Elections. Tonight's debate will consist of the College of Science. Before we begin, I would like to go over some rules. As with everything this past year, we're conducting these debates via Zoom virtually. So please refrain from typing anything into the chat box unless it is a candidate question, as to prevent any distractions to the candidates. That being said, we are utilizing a Q&A function, so please feel free to use that below to ask any questions you may have for the candidates for the later portion of tonight's debate. We'll move right into tonight's rules for tonight. Candidates are seated in alphabetical order by last name and will be given 1 minute and 30 seconds to introduce themselves and state their platforms. Candidates will be given 1 minute and then 30-second warnings on their time. If a candidate goes over the allotted time, they'll be warned and then have their mics muted to ensure that they have an efficient and fair debate. The first portion of tonight's debate will consist of candidate-focused questions formulated based on their listed bios and goals on the website. Each candidate will have 1 minute and 30-second responses with the option for a 30-second rebuttal to add to their original answers, respond to another candidate's question, and or even ask a question to another candidate. If a question is directly asked from one candidate to another, the asked candidate will have 30 seconds to respond, and thus will end this portion of the rebuttal process. The next portion of tonight's debate will be consisted of general ASUN questions about ASUN, the duties as potential senators, and all other questions of the general nature. A similar format and time will be used for this section as well. The last question portion of the night will consist of students and questions submitted to tonight's debates via the Q&A function here, or submitted via social media during the day. A similar format and timing structure will be used for this section as well. Finally, to end tonight's debate, we will hear the candidates' closing statements that will once again be limited to 1 minute and 30-second responses. After the conclusion of the debates, we will thank the candidates and the audience for their cooperation tonight and give ASUN Democracy a virtual round of applause. With that being said, candidates, do you have any questions? All right, seeing none, I am getting my timer ready for the debate. And per alphabetical order, we will go with candidate Bowling first, then move on to candidate Howell and candidate, I'm going to do this. I'm going to pronounce it right. Nithyanandan, and then candidate Palayo. Okay, so candidate Bowling, you have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you, Kevin. So I am a third-year student at UNR. I'm double majoring in psychology and Spanish, and I'm hoping to minor in addiction treatment. I currently work as a caregiver and volunteer with Domestic Violence Resource Center. And my platform mainly just focuses on prioritizing mental health. I believe that's my biggest goal on campus. And I really want to promote more workshops. My next step in life is grad school. And I think there should be more opportunities on campus that help students with that next step, whether it's grad school or something else as well. And I just want to create more connections. I'm personally not in a fraternity or sorority. I think it's great if you are, but if you aren't, I think there should also be more connections to allow that if you aren't in a fraternity or sorority. And I really want to promote advocacy on campus. And yeah, those are my main goals. Lastly, I do want to also try and implement a grievance policy through UNR. That's it.
Thank you, candidate Bowling. Candidate Howell, 1 minute and 30-second opening statement.
Hi, my name is Rylan Howell. I am currently running for the College of Science as a senator. I have a few main goals, broad goals. I'm currently a freshman at UNR with a major in biology and a minor in business administration. And I'm also part of the BSMD program, which is one of the goals that I have is academics with an emphasis on like Nevada Fit and pushing those ideas that will help contribute to this university for a better overall academic success. Another one that I would like to touch on is the cost of the university is continuing to rise. I'd like to figure out some ways to work with students on driving those prices down and making school more affordable. And my last one is to also have more advocacy for communication among students. I am a part of a fraternity. That's a great way to go. But if you do not want to be a part of a fraternity or sorority, there's also I want there to be other options and chances for people to meet each other. Thank you.
Thank you, candidate Hal. Okay, we will move on to candidate Nithya Nandan for a 1:30 opening statement.
Thank you, Director Finkler. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here to watch tonight. My name is Navita Nithyanandan. I'm a first-year student, part of the Honors College. I'm majoring in bio and I'm minoring in psychology. And I currently serve as an ASUN legislative intern for the 88th session, where I've had the opportunity to learn so much more about how our student government operates and the important role senators play when it comes to hearing out student problems, communicating with campus staff, and so much more. I'm running to become a senator for the College of Science because I would like to hear out any problems students have and try my best to acknowledge and help them. If elected, some of the goals I have right now include to help ease the transition for incoming freshmen, to better adjust and find resources as a college student more easily, to implement better safety on campus by raising awareness for campus security resources, and to increase connectivity between students of the College of Science through more commonly shared spaces or social events. Starting my freshman year of college during the current global pandemic has definitely made me feel isolated and disconnected from campus and the student population. However, I would like to step up and take this senator position to make sure others don't feel this way while experiencing a positive and safe campus experience. Thank you.
Thank you for that response. We will now go to our last opening statement of tonight from candidate Pelayo. You have 1:30 opening statement.
So, hi everyone. My name is Yesenia Pelayo. I am a second year, first generation student majoring in neuroscience with a soon to be minor in English literature. I am a member of Delta Gamma sorority and am currently a secretary for the 88th session. It was actually this position as a secretary that, kind of inspired me to be here tonight running for the Senate seat. I feel like I, along with many other students, didn't really know what ASUN was doing for other students until I actually worked within ASUN and kind of got to be able to gain an inside perspective while also maintaining, that outside student perspective because I didn't really work in Senate. So anyways, my goals for this session are to improve transparency between ASUN and students so that students are more aware of the association's actions, strengthen the connection between student government and Greek life on campus, create a more casual approach to representation to destigmatize student body government, create more resources to support first-generation women in STEM, and work with RHA to create a more welcoming and inclusive environment and create more mental health resources for students in residence halls.
Thank you for that response. Moving from the opening statements, we will now move into the candidate-centered questions. Again, these questions were derived from your each bios and listed goals. Please allow me to pull them up really quick. And again, we will keep the similar alphabetical format. So candidate Bowling, how would you go about creating the safe spaces on campus that you mentioned in your goals as your role as senator? Would this mean partnering with departments? Or are you looking for more ASUN funding to create these spaces?
So I think that's a really great question. I think partnering with departments on campus would be the better decision for this because I think it just allows for more connection, and that's kind of what I'm going for, is just allowing for more communication and connection on campus. I think sometimes campus life can be very cliquey, and I think that it feels scary to talk about certain issues, and it feels like they don't have the space to do that. And I think by partnering with certain departments and allowing areas and creating spaces for students to talk about these issues will break that barrier and maybe change that feeling and stigma around such topics and allow students to feel like maybe campus isn't so cliquey. That would be the goal.
Thank you, candidate Bowling, for your answer. Okay, following the alphabetical order, we'll go to candidate Howell. Candidate Howell, how would you go about creating an easier line of communication with the president, yourself, and the students, as you mentioned in your first goal?
Thank you for that question. I would like to start by saying that when it comes to a senator position, that you are elected and the people that do elect you, you are representing. And the way that I would want to go about doing this would be creating a possible Instagram account, because we are not able to directly interact with people right now. So an Instagram account, or create areas that would allow for surveys, asking what the students want, because there has been negative talk about Asun in the past, and having a good communication with the people that you are representing is extremely important. And on the basis of speaking with the president and other important people on campus, it's important to have communication with these people, because the dean of your college or the president of the university ultimately make these decisions. And these people, the way to do this, I feel like we might need to have a legislative piece that needs to be written, that they should review these things. And it's just very important to speak with the president and speak with the dean of the College of Science, or even other important positions about the future of the university.
Thank you for that response. Okay, we will move on to the next question of tonight for candidate Nithya Nandan. Candidate, what kind of shared spaces would you like to bring for your constituents that you mentioned in your goals?
Yeah, so I know there are currently common college dorms in Great Basin Hall and the Nevada Living Learning community, where students live with people of the same academic college. And this could be extremely convenient in the sense that students can come together to help each other with similar classes they're taking. And they can also create long-lasting connections and friendships. But however, these types of learning experiences are not available for all students at the university, simply due to dorming capacities. So I hope to work with the Knowledge Center to create some kind of study events where students can come together to work with people from their college with specific subjects, and have these take place regularly, whether they're weekly, daily, monthly. So this way, the common academic shared spaces may not just be limited to the majority of freshmen living in dorms, and rather that can bring together students of all years, and whether they live on or off campus.
Thank you for that response. Okay, we'll move on to candidate Palayo. Candidate Palayo, how would you go about creating more transparency between the association and the students that you mentioned in your goals?
Yeah, so I definitely feel like ASUN can be putting in a lot more effort to inform students on everything senators are doing during a session. My freshman year, I never heard about anything ASUN was doing, and if it weren't for personally knowing a senator or even being hired within ASUN, I still wouldn't know anything that ASUN does. And this isn't even me. A lot of people that I've talked to, since working within ASUN, students that don't have those personal ties, don't know what ASUN does either. They're not informed on the legislation that you guys work on. And I think just not only finding a way to get the things we're working on out there to students, but also promoting civic engagement on all levels is a good way to make students care more about knowing what ASUN does. I know we have a legislation Instagram that's out, but it only has a couple posts. I think posting more on that could be helpful. Also, they don't really follow anybody. They just kind of wait for people to follow them. Students are not going to be searching up ASUN legislation on Instagram. So I think, there's a lot of things that we can do to just take that extra step.
Thank you for that answer. Okay, we will now move into the general question portion of tonight. And at this time, I'd also like to remind all the attendees, please go ahead and feel free to ask any questions in the Q&A function after this upcoming session will be the student question-led portion, so please feel free to ask them in the Q&A function. So for this next portion of the debates, you each will be given different questions, all varying in the same difficulty, just in different sections of ASUN and general questions. Again, it's a 1 and 30-second responses, and then we'll go back to a 30-second rebuttal at this time. Okay, so candidate bowling. Big question of why we're all here. Why do you want to become a senator?
So I want to become a senator mainly because this is my 3rd year at UNR, so I've gotten to know it pretty well. I've seen it from before the pandemic. I've known it when I went to classes on campus. I've known it, and now during the pandemic and seeing it through this change. And I just really wanted to I really believe in education, and it would be nice to be a part of that democracy and making that change. And there's a lot of things I believe in, like promoting mental health and these workshops, because I know that that was a struggle for me, and that I wanted more help and communication on campus and opportunities to prepare for steps after graduating. And I'd like to be a part of that change.
Thank you for that answer. Hal, the next question is for you. 1 second, I apologize. I lost the questions. 1 second. There they are. Thank you so much. So for the next question for you. In the recent years, the university has seen a consistent uptick of hate crimes targeted at underrepresented groups on campus. How would you as a senator ensure that all students in these groups feel safe and comfortable walking on our campus?
Thank you for that question. And I would like to acknowledge that I have seen the university put forth more effort in acknowledging these hate crimes, such as I personally had a class that we had somebody come talk to us about the Title IX, which is something that I did not know about when I came to school. And I have also seen signs about the Black Lives Matter movement around campus before, but I think there's many ways to improve upon this. I think that when you have to take those classes about alcohol consumption at the beginning of the year, about those things, we should also include other things. I think that Title IX is super important, and that we should push for Title IX out of most of those things, because that is something that is very predominant in the college life. And I think we should require a class for that at the beginning of the year, and everyone needs to know that Title IX exists, because personally speaking, and I know this from speaking to other people, that this is something that has not been expressed through the university enough, and that's what I want to push for more. Thank you.
Thank you for that answer. Okay, we will now move into the next question for candidate Nithyanandan. In the past year, ASUN has seen a consistent opposition from students and seen groups on this campus continue to see ASUN in a negative way. In your role as senator, what would you do to better serve your college, and how would you hope to change this perception of ASUN?
Yeah, so I think we should start at the first step, which is making what ASUN does as a whole more aware to students, so that way that negative effect is like not present. And by making it more aware, I think students would be able to know that what we do for them, and like where their funding goes, and like what are they paying for, and how we are hearing them out. And I think it's important that we show them how us as the associated students, they can come to us with any of their problems or issues, and the same other way around. We should be reaching out to them to find out what they want to know more about or what they want to see change. So yeah, I think reaching out and raising awareness of what ASUN does is definitely one of the first steps we should take.
Thank you for that answer. Okay, we will now move into candidate Palayo. Okay, the next question is, so sorry, let me find it. What is one thing you have seen from this past session, especially in your role as secretary for ASUN, that you believe was lacking or something that is missing from ASUN currently, and how do you plan on changing that?
Yeah, like to reiterate what I said, I think one of the main issues within ASUN is just kind of taking that extra step in their outreach. I feel like a reason why a lot of students don't know what ASUN does is because they don't outreach that well to students. They don't like, I worked with ASUN senators and not once have I been contacted or like reached out to about anything ASUN related. So if like I haven't, just I would imagine like a lot of students feel the same way. And I feel like to really represent your students, you need to be contacting your students and seeing like what things they want to see change within ASUN. So yeah, that's one of the main problems that I hope to change this session.
Thank you for your answer. At this time, we will do a 30-second rebuttal process because you each were given different questions, and I'm sure there are some of you that would like to give an answer to another question or maybe even ask a candidate a question about their answer. So candidate Bowling, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
I would just like to go off of what Senator Palaio was saying, and just that I think that's really important. And I think that it's super intimidating, that communication. And I just think that as a goal for ASUN, it should be to break that barrier. And again, I've said it before, but just to really break that barrier of communication and allow for students to feel safe and speak what they want and promote democracy even. So yeah.
Thank you for that response. Candidate Howell, a 30-second rebuttal from you.
I would like to just say that that the senator position and that all of ASUN is very important, and that overall the ASUN needs to be pushed more towards the student population, because not everyone, even most people don't know what ASUN does, and most people don't know that they pay money towards ASUN to pay for all the things that they do. And I believe that pushing these is very important.
Okay, thank you for your response. Candidate Nithya Nandan, a 30-second rebuttal from you.
Yeah, I just wanted to go off of what candidate Palaio said about outreach. I do definitely think it's very important as well, whether that's outreaching through social media, in person when times get better, making connections through smaller classes, or reaching out to like clubs and organizations. I just think outreach, especially within the Senate, is very important.
Thank you for that response. Candidate Palaio, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
So I just wanted to expand on, one of the goals candidate Bowling had. I also think it's really important to create more mental health resources in the university. And one of my goals especially was to create more mental health resources within residence halls, especially during the current pandemic. I lived through it. I lived in residence halls for 2 years. And so, yeah.
Thank you, candidate Palaio. Okay, we will now move on to our student questions for tonight. And so far we have 2, unless the attendees would like to submit some more. So for this one, you each will be given the same question, the same amount of time to answer them. Candidate Bowling, what is something that ASUN is currently not supplying to the College of Science students, and how can you provide this resource as a senator for the 89th session?
So kind of on a bigger scale as well, that's not being provided to for students, is that grievance policy I kind of mentioned earlier. And going through a pandemic, especially, this should be a huge priority. So many lives have been lost during this pandemic, and just in general, without a pandemic, when you lose someone, that is an extremely hard process. And the last thing you want to do is inform all your teachers of this and want to let them know what you're going through and having to kind of still go through your schoolwork, and having a grievance policy to allow someone to help take that load and let the students know that we're here to support you going through this really difficult time, and that we're here to provide you what you need, I think is like super important and should be a huge priority for students.
Thank you for that response. Candidate Howell, same question to you. What is something that ASUN is not currently supplying to your college, and how can you provide this resource as a senator for the upcoming session?
So I would like to just start by saying that the College of Science has done a good job with giving resources for academic help, but I do believe that they should be pushing, going off of what candidate Bowling said, they should be pushing more of the psychological pieces. Like, I think that we all pay for the therapy and the counseling at the University of Nevada, and pushing for that, and really maybe just even sending out an email as the College of Science, because all the students will see that, sending that out and letting them know that there are resources available, and that there's plenty of resources available on this campus for psychological, for anything that you may need, is super important. And that's something that I'd like to see more come out of the College of Science.
Thank you for your response. Okay, same question to you, candidate Nithyanandan. What is something that ASUN is not currently supplying to your college, and how can you provide this resource as a senator for the upcoming 89th session?
So I think something that we could supply or more do would be representing more of the wide majors that are within the College of Science. I think by starting off and breaking it down, we would have, although we have like less in-person contact right now, I think the opportunity that Zoom and other online communication platforms has given us has really ensured a convenient way for us to reach out to certain individuals who are part of the vast major options within our college. So by utilizing this type of communication and outreach and other one-on-one or even group contact methods, once we're able to come together again in person, I think we could be efficiently representing the groups of the students that make up the College of Science as a whole.
Thank you for that response. Candidate Palaio, same question to you. What is something that ASUN is not currently supplying to your college, and how can you provide this resource as a senator in the upcoming 89th session?
Yeah, so I really liked one of the things candidate Nithyanandan said about creating more like social groups for students in the university. I think more specifically for College of Science, we could create more groups for first generation students, first generation women in STEM, because I know when I came into the university, I was lucky enough to have friends that were also first generation, so we kind of went through the struggle together. I think just giving students that connection to other students that are going through the same things as them could be really beneficial.
Thank you for that response. We will open it up to a 30-second rebuttal process. Again, you can add on to what you've already said, add on to somebody else's answer, and or the option of skipping your rebuttal. So, candidate Bowling, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
I'll skip my rebuttal.
All right. Candidate Howell, 30-second rebuttal to you.
I'll skip as well, thanks.
All right, thank you. Candidate Nithyanandan, 30-second rebuttal to you.
No rebuttal.
All right. Candidate Palaio, 30-second rebuttal to you.
No rebuttal.
All right, so we will move into the next question for tonight's debate. Going into the next session, how would you combat performative activism and possibly savior complexes as senators so that students in marginalized communities feel adequately represented? Candidate Bowling, we will start off with you.
Thank you. For those watching on live YouTube or here on Zoom, I just kind of also want to go over what performative activism and savior complexes is. That's like performative activism is like where you're posting on social media, but it might not have that same depth or true activism outside of. It's very performative. And then savior complexes, this is like the need to be a savior and the need to kind of, if that makes sense, to be a savior. And so a way to combat that, this is a difficult question because anytime you're opening the door for advocacy, you're going to get performative activism and these savior complexes, but that's part of having a voice. I think a good way to combat this is being a volunteer with the Domestic Violence Resource Center. I had to go through training, and this training was a course online, and I think it's through education that you're going to learn and understand these marginalized communities more and be able to represent them better, because education is really how you're going to get that understanding.
Thank you for that response. Kenneth House, same question to you. How would you combat performative activism, possible savior complexes as senator so that students in marginalized communities feel adequately represented?
I feel like the best way to approach this is this is something that we should talk about as a complete Senate, and this is actually something that I feel it plays a large role in the Asun. I don't want people to be in these senator positions for the wrong reasons, and I believe that everyone's in these senator positions for the right reasons, and if we're all in the senator positions for the right reasons, then we can all come up with ways to make everyone feel adequately represented. And the best ways to do this is to reach out to these people that may feel like they are not represented equally, and continue to have communication and a good line of communication with these people for the best way to move forward and kind of mend those bonds that may have been damaged in the past with the Asun.
Okay, thank you for that response. Candidate Nithyanandan, we'll move now to you. How would you combat performative activism and possible savior complexes as senator so that students in marginalized communities feel adequately represented?
Yeah, so I definitely agree that this should be something that's addressed to the Senate as a whole. I think if we're all here and present with the same motivation to hear out student problems or make positive changes on campus, I think by working together, we could combat the performative activism. And by identifying each other's strengths and weaknesses, I think that would be an even better way for us to start working together and coming together to have the same kind of motivation and to make all the groups feel adequately represented. I think by reaching out and not only having the students come to us, but us also reaching out to them, we can thoroughly be good listeners and try to help the students the best we can.
Thank you for your response. Candidate Pelayo, same question to you. How will you combat performative activism and possible savior complexes as a senator so that students in marginalized communities feel adequately represented?
Yeah, so I think that it's more about, collaborating with those marginalized communities and not more like, sorry, my words, not like doing what you think that they need from you, but more like collaborating on things that they actually want to see from you. So listening to student input and continuing with that student input, not just when it's relevant.
Thank you for your response. Again, we'll move into a 30-second rebuttal period. You know the options. Candidate Bowling, 30-second rebuttal to you.
Yeah, I just want to say that, I also think that's why a vote on campus is so important, because if we are to solve this thing as a whole, it's important that the people on the Senate are representing what you want. If we're to do this as a team and as a whole, that's why it's important that you vote who you feel like would represent you.
Candidate Howell, 30-second rebuttal to you.
Just really quickly, I'd like to agree with Senator Bowling that we are all on the same, that we would all want to be on the same page, and we should vote and everyone who is voting should vote for who they think is best for the positions, and that who they think will treat everyone fairly.
All right, thank you. Candidate Nithya Nandan, 30-second rebuttal to you.
No rebuttal.
All right. Candidate Palayo, 30-second rebuttal to you.
No rebuttal.
All right. With that, we will move into our last question of the night. Okay. This question states, do you have any unique ideas to approach outreach that you believe would be more effective than the current outreach initiatives? Starting with candidate Bowling, we'll start with you.
I think that on campus, when we think of outreach, we tend to focus still on campus when outreach should be beyond that. It should be in Nevada, it should be in Washoe County, and not just when we think of outreach as ASUN outreaching through students. We should be thinking of how can we outreach in the community, because that's how we make connections, and we'll move on to our next career or graduate school, or how we find research opportunities. It's beyond the classroom, it's beyond the university. And I think when we focus on outreach in the university, we're not gonna reach those goals that we want on a state scale or a national scale. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, candidate Bowling. Candidate House, same question to you. Do you have any unique ideas to approach outreach that you believe would be more effective than the current outreach initiatives?
I do have an idea for mending those bonds that I feel are very ruined between off-campus Greek life and the ASUN. I feel there is a lot of tension between these two very predominant social aspects of campus, and if we could work together. I know I am personally a part of the Greek life, and I know there's another senator in here that's a part of Greek life, along with many others, and that I've seen from past debates this week. And if we could work together with the Greek life, and also work together with the senators to mend those, having two predominant social aspects of campus work together for the betterment of the betterment of the university, will overall be a great thing.
All right, thank you for that response. Candidate Nithya Nandan, same question to you. Do you have any unique ideas to approach outreach that you believe would be more effective than the current outreach efforts?
Yeah, so through the last piece that I wrote with the Senate internship, the main form of outreach that I took on was social media. And I thought that was fairly effective because I needed the opinions of the students from UNR as a whole. So I got several responses from there, but I think another unique idea would be going into smaller classes where we're able to interact with students one-on-one. And especially if I'm trying to do this within the College of Science, finding people, whether it's a major with neuroscience, biology, psychology, or anything like that, it can encompass them as a whole to find more different aspects within the College of Science. So definitely reaching out through smaller classes and making those connections, I think would be something that's more effective.
All right, thank you for the response. Candidate Palayo, question to you, same one. Any unique ideas to approach outreach that you believe would be more effective than the current outreach efforts?
Yeah, so again, I think just like taking that little extra step to really create those conversations with students honestly would make such a big difference. Like you can outreach anywhere. I know like a lot of my classes, they have little group me sections that students just talk about the class, or they talk about things that on campus, whatever. Honestly, you can just create these conversations with students anywhere. It doesn't have to be like a specific, oh, I'm going to ask this on like my social media story. Like you can outreach like anywhere.
All right, thank you for that response. Candidate Howell, or so sorry, jumped the gun a little bit. We'll now move into a 30-second rebuttal period. Again, you know your options. We'll again start with candidate Bowling this time, of course. 30-second rebuttal to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that also, along with one of my goals, I feel like with outreach is implementing more workshops and advertising that more, because I think it's really difficult to find like research assistant positions, or again, applying for graduate school is really intimidating. I know that's something I'm struggling with, and I know that there are some workshops out there, but I think there should be more, and they should be communicated more so that students know that they have that opportunity.
Thank you. 30-second rebuttal to you, candidate Howell.
No rebuttal.
All right, thank you. Candidate Nithya Nandan, 30-second rebuttal to you.
Yeah, I just want to comment on what candidate Pelayo said about creating those conversations and how important it is. I agree. And even though it's like really difficult to do right now through Zoom, there are the pros of having the virtual lectures. We're able to simply just chat one another, create the group meets like candidate Pelayo said. And once times get better and we can start seeing each other in person regularly, I think we can make those connections even better.
All right, thank you. And candidate Pelayo, you have the last 30-second rebuttal of tonight.
No rebuttal.
All right. We will now move into our final section. I want to first, before I forget, thank you to all the students that submitted questions tonight. And candidates, on behalf, I think I can speak of the students, thank you for your answers. We will now move into a closing statement portion. It'll be 1 minute and 30 seconds, of course. We will go in the same order format. So candidate Bowling, please start us off with your closing statement for tonight.
I just want to thank everyone and say that no matter the outcome of this debate or like election, that it's been a great opportunity, and I've met so many good like people, and it's been really fun. And I just want to say that if you do vote for me, I'm going to try and push and like want to be a leader for you, but also serve you. And I just want to promote mental health on campus, create more workshops, a grievance policy, and really just fight for these things. So thank you.
Thank you, candidate Bowling. Candidate Howell, your closing statement.
I just want to start by saying thank you to everyone that watched tonight. Thank you for putting on this. Thank you for putting on this debate through Zoom, even though it might be harder. And I wanted to thank the other candidates as well for coming tonight and offering their opinions as well. I think that with what I have to offer and my willingness to listen, that I would be a great candidate. But whether or not I do end up becoming a senator and for the College of Science, I think I want the best for the Asun, and I want the best for the student population. And I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity.
Thank you. Candidate Nithya Nandan, closing statement from you.
Thank you to everyone who came out to watch our debate tonight, and I am extremely thankful to have this opportunity to run for a senator's seat for the College of Science. I think being a freshman on campus during these times has been rough. However, being involved with ASUN as an intern this 88th session has made my experience at UNR so much better, as I was able to meet so many new people and find common interests. Together, I think we can all come together as students and definitely make positive change on campus and help make the overall college student experience better. I hope to represent the College of Science because I would love to continue being involved on campus and assisting others. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for your closing statement. And for our last closing statement of the night, candidate Pelayo, your closing statement.
So like everyone else here, I just wanted to thank everyone for coming. I am super excited to have been able to have done this. Based on all of my fellow candidates' goals and what they've said tonight, if elected, I'm super excited to get the opportunity to work with them. Yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
And thank you. And with that last closing statement, this does end our debate tonight and end the Senate debates for this season. Before I forget, please remember that voting is March 10th and 11th for this specific college, starting at 8 a.m. on the 10th and closing at 5 p.m. on the 11th. You can vote via web campus, and you can vote in person if you would like. And beginning this year, for the first year in ASUN's history, if you are part of multiple colleges, you now may be able to vote for as many colleges that you are enrolled in. So I please, and on behalf of the candidates, recommend that you please vote on the 10th and 11th. And we hope to see a high voter turnout. And candidates, once again, thank you so much for tonight and your answers. To the attendees, thank you for coming out tonight and your questions. And I hope everyone has a great night. And remember, vote on the 10th and 11th of next month. Thank you, everyone.